It's got to be absolutely perfect, and if there's just one thing that's wrong, we're not going to go there, you know. So she finally just gave up and decided that she's going to stay.
After you did all that work.
She's going to stay in her apartment where she's at. So she's got a storage unit that is just packed full of all the stuff from back home. And so she's deciding that, you know, she's like, well, I don't know what to do, And I says, why don't we go over there and we'll fill my car up with whatever we could fit in there. We'll bring it back over here. You can just have a whole week of enjoying going through it and figuring out what to do. She's like, okay. So we get over there and it's like, well, I don't know about this, I don't know about that. Next thing you know, I'm moving everything out because all the boxes are in the back and all the furniture is in the front. So I'm moving everything out. And she finally decides, you know, what she wants to do. And after a while she's like, well, I don't know, I need John. So she calls my brother-in-law up and we're all working together trying to get all that stuff, you know, dealt with and stuff like that. So it's just, and she did that twice. So we took 2 of my carloads over to her house and a carload of John's over to her house. And then yesterday, there's a big entertainment center that my dad had built, and Mom decided that I can have that. And so I was thinking, okay, after Michael gets out of school and I have a chance to get things out of the way, we'll bring it over. My brother-in-law shows up yesterday after we get home from the movies with his van backed up to my front door, and he unloads it into my living room, which now I have too much. That and a couple of end tables and, you know, lamp and stuff.
Okay.
So I have work ahead of me.
Okay. So you went to the doctor?
No.
No, you're just taking pain meds?
Yeah, and it's just stuff that he's prescribed to me. I ran out of the other stuff, so I'm using that. I thought this stuff was going to make me sleepy, but it hasn't. I figured that'd be one of your first questions. That's the reason why I grabbed it.
You just taking it, what,
I took
twice
one.
a day or once a day?
I've taken them once a day, first thing in the morning, and Vince was okay with it. I had, I think, 4 days. It was like 3 days in a row I took it, and then skipped a day, and then I ended up taking it again yesterday. Halfway through my workout, and I went, I need a pill. Was trying to tell you what it does?
Yeah, I wanted to see if there's patient education. I wanted to see the side effects of constipation as one of those.
Oh.
Being it's a pain med.
I haven't had much trouble with that. I know I was having a lot of pain before that.
Oh, okay, it's an NSAID. Alright. That's all that is. Okay.
I just know I feel better after I take it.
Okay, so anti-inflammatory. Okay, so it shouldn't have any issues with it then. Okay, that's fine.
That's a good thing?
Yeah.
Okay. And I got my first t-shirt. Not super thrilled with it, but it's a start.
They made it 50 power challenge. Where'd you have them done at?
I had done at the base.
Okay.
I have a friend who does t-shirts.
Yeah.
And I asked him, you know, if he could do one for me, and this is what he came up with.
That's pretty cool.
So, yeah, we were thinking, you know, if we could have the letters, you know, like a U shape or something like that, or, you know, or maybe a set of muscles on the back, you know, like an arm or something like that. We thought that might be cool.
Absolutely.
So, and of course, the guys would probably like a darker color with like white letters or something like that, so that's a start.
So tell me, besides the issue with like your mom moving, not moving, and then Mike wanting help and so forth, but talk to me a little bit about your week. I saw that you went to Arby's.
Yes.
I think it was that day you left here.
Yeah, we left here, and actually I didn't get to eat until like 5:30 in the evening, because I did have some water with me, and I had those little square things with me, and I nibbled on that. But we went and did the grocery shopping real quick. Then we had to go get the cat. Then we went to go eat. After all that was out of the way, then we went to go eat, and I had you saw what I had, and
Why'd you say you blew it? That's what I want to try to understand.
because I had the onion rings and the apple turnover thing.
Okay.
That's the way I thought. And then I tried to drink as much water as I could, but being so late in the day, didn't get much in. And
what we have to be somewhat careful with,
mm-hmm.
right, is the information that you have in here,
mm-hmm.
right? The onion rings and the apple turnover, like they have no cholesterol, sodium, sugars, or fiber. Well, we know that there's sugars in the apple turnover. We know there's sodium in the apple turnover, right? So what I want you to do is just kind of start double checking when you see something on there,
mm-hmm.
cross-reference and see if any of these other things are in there. If they're not in there, then, or I should say, if they are in there, then someone took the time to accurately log that information.
Okay.
Right? Versus if people just put this in there and don't put the other things in there, it's kind of like you're logging half the information without knowing what's going on. Right?
Yeah. It was one of those trying to find something that had what I needed in there, but it's
right.
It's
so because
kind of limited.
So when I look at this from a sugar perspective, well, we know there's sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So this is counting only 25 grams. They don't count the sugar from that, but we know how much. But I don't know. I mean, so when I see 25, I know you had more than that.
Yeah.
How much, I don't know. Same way with fiber.
Right.
Right? We don't know.
Right.
And so those are important elements, because as we look at, okay, are your sugar cravings up? And they're up, why?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're constipated, why?
Right.
Right? So without knowing all the specifics, right, it's hard to make a guess, because say, for example, you're constipated. Well, I can see why. I mean, you're only getting 8 grams. Well, the reason why is because they're not telling you everything that you did have.
Yeah.
Right on there.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was asking, anti-constipation, if you taking pain meds. Actually, it's an anti-inflammatory, so you're not going to have any issues with that.
Yeah, the pain meds was for my neck and my back. Well, Friday was really weird, is because I was having, Wednesday. I did that. Thursday morning, gained a bunch of weight, and I just could not go to the bathroom.
So from Wednesday to Thursday, how much weight did you gain? I mean, it says you were up.
About 2.5 pounds.
Okay.
And then it started going down after that. Thursday, of course, Thursday on, I'm back on track with everything. Wednesday's the only time I did something bad. And Thursday was the gym, and then I lost a couple of ounces. And then Friday, I went to my mother's, packed all my food, and since it was before Mother's Day, I was going to, so whatever you want to do today, it's up to you. If you want to go out to eat, I'll take my food with me. If you want to go to the mall, fine, whatever. She wants to clean out her locker. That's how I ended up doing all that work. While I was unloading everything from the cars into her apartment, that's when the pinched nerve started. And within about an hour, it seemed like all over my body there was like pinched nerves. It was just really, this hard knots of muscle or something going on, and it was extremely painful. And before I had the shakes, and I thankfully had my food with me, and I had a little bit to eat, which helped that situation. But I ended up having to take a painkiller. My mom was taking Aspercream and rubbing it all over me. She was giving me she has a massage thing that heats up. She was putting that on me, trying to get the pain to go away. And within about an hour after taking the meds, I was getting better. Several trips to the bathroom that day and lost about a pound. And Saturday, went for a walk, you know, my usual stuff. Sunday, my son, for Mother's Day, went to church, came home, my son made a poster that a Whovian mother would be proud of. There was a character from Doctor Who on there, with a cute little thing on there, it was real cute. And then he took me out for a movie, and I enjoyed it, you know, the little popcorn. And stayed on the thing. I think I'm pretty sure I put it on there.
Yeah, you did. I saw the popcorn.
Yeah.
What day was that, on the 12th?
This Sunday, whatever that was.
Yeah, that would have been Sunday, the 12th.
And then
Okay.
okay, and then Monday I went for a walk. You know, when the days that I'm not going to the gym or I walk every day so I can get my numbers in. And Monday I had a lot of computer work, so I did did my walk, had my food, did a lot of computer work, and then it was like, okay, I'm bored. What should I do? I went for another walk.
Okay.
You know, that kind of thing. And then yesterday was, you know, to the gym. Oh, and of course I was taking painkillers pretty much the whole weekend too. Cause Saturday morning I could barely move, and I took a pill. Sunday morning I was kind of moved, took a pill. Monday I didn't take a pill. Tuesday I got halfway through my gym and had to take a pill.
Like, I'm seeing you logging your walking at 2.5 miles an hour leisurely pace. Right? And you put like 147 minutes, 135 minutes. How are you keeping track of the time?
Actually what I got is this thing. And it gives me the miles on there. And so what I do is I take the miles and calculate it into minutes according to 250, or 2.5 miles an hour.
Okay.
So it's.
So that are you counting them? So where I'm trying to make sure is, this is what you're using to log the exercise?
Mhm.
So let's say, for example, that you get 3,000 steps a day.
Mhm.
Right? And it tells you that you walk, we'll say 3.5 miles.
Okay.
Right? Are you logging that 3.5 miles?
I'm logging it according to what that says, yeah.
Okay. All right. So here's an issue.
Okay.
Right? Is you're essentially what we call double dipping.
Okay.
Right? And what that means is the overall energy expenditure. Say, for example, when we look at, you know, where you're at from a metabolic perspective.
Mhm.
Right? And when we remeasured your metabolism, we factor those things already into your lifestyle.
Okay.
Right? So say, for example, on there you burn 2,200 calories plus another 400 for your lifestyle.
Okay.
Right? So that's 26. We've already accounted for doing the activities of daily living stuff already into your overall expenditure.
Mhm.
And then if you log it again, then you're essentially counting it twice. Does that make sense? So the difference between that is, say that if we have you designed to lose about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds a week.
Mhm.
Right? And then you're logging this in addition to what the software's telling you, you should be losing at 3.5 to 4 pounds per week. But in reality, you can't,
Mhm.
because we've already accounted for that.
Mhm.
So that's the number one error we routinely see is we account for your activities of daily living already in your overall expenditure, and then if you log it again, right, then you're essentially expanding your daily expenditure by an additional amount, which is, and if you only lose 1.5 pounds, you're like, well, I'm burning 3,000 calories, I'm only consuming 12. Why am I not losing 3 pounds or 4 pounds per week? Well, the reason why is because you're double dipping, and that's the reason why in reality you should be losing, like you should be losing, right? So that's the discrepancy we normally see. So you can focus on the steps, right? And I want you to focus on trying to get to 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day. But I don't want you logging, you can put it in the notes section, 8,000 steps a day, or whatever it might be. But I don't want you logging the calories. Does that make sense? Unless you go to the gym.
Okay.
And you're actually doing, right, 20 laps,
Yeah.
plus some exercise. That's what you can log.
Okay.
Does that make
just
sense?
my gym time or something?
Gym time only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause every day I go for a walk, so I can get those numbers up.
Yeah, and that's okay, and you're right, otherwise people wouldn't get hardly any steps.
Right.
Right? But we kind of account for those kind of things. We know that it takes some energy getting up, going to brush your hair, walking to get your mail on, going to the grocery store. All those things we kind of already kind of calculated for on a standard basis. Right? We know you're not just sitting there doing nothing. We know you're doing other things, and that's why we've already accounted for it, but we don't want you to count them twice.
Okay.
Does that make sense? All right.
Okay.
All right, so let's see. One of the things, I think the hunger is you went too long without eating.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I was just.
You just didn't have things with you?
Well, the only thing I had with me was those squares, cereal squares, which, curbed the appetite,
Right.
and then I had some water with it, which kind of helped. But it was one of those, it was the end of the day, I haven't had calories all day long.
Right.
I'm going to eat.
And that's the worst thing to have happen, right?
Yeah.
Is not eat and then get to the point where you're hungry, where like, I'm going to have this and I'm going to have that because I didn't eat, I can make up my calories, right? Well, then you naturally start, it's that devil on the shoulder saying, yes, you can have those things because you didn't have those calories, so it doesn't matter, right? What the issue being is the behavior from the day really sabotaged your effort because you were hungry and didn't have the things to be able to eat.
Right.
Right? The only thing I see on there is fiber, is a big thing. You're not getting enough fiber.
Throughout my week or just?
Throughout the day.
Oh, that day or every day?
In general. You're averaging around 17 to 18 grams. Sometimes you'll get up over 20.
Yeah, I've been trying to get it up over 20.
Right. And but that's not a routine that I'm seeing. So what I want you to do is add in blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, a cup every day.
Okay.
Right? And the reason why, that's roughly 6 to 7 grams of fiber.
Okay.
Okay? And it's insoluble, so it will help with any form of constipation. So we'll try that.
Is that on top of the fruit I'm already getting?
Yeah, I want you to add it, and plus that way you're only getting 50 more calories. A cup of blackberries, blueberries, and raspberries are about 50 calories, and then the fiber content is between 5 and 7 grams of fiber.
So so 2 servings of fruit a day is what you're saying?
Yes.
I just want to make sure I understand that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and that will help with bowel regularity.
Okay.
More important than anything.
Okay.
And if you're still getting hungry, then we might want to go to an actual fiber supplement that has a combination of insoluble and soluble fiber. One aids predominantly in a little bit of satiety and blocks cholesterol absorption, and the other one aids more in bowel transit time and reduces constipation. So that's, I like kind of a comprehensive fiber supplement. It's hard to get both in one product, but through Zymogen they do have it. But I want to see if we can do it with food first and see how you do. So let's get your weight. See how you do.
Any extra weight off my?
The weight increase was sodium.
Oh, yeah, I would believe that.
That's what it was. Good job. Almost got another 270.4. That's good. It's a lot better. See, this is where I think it's important, right? Because I was talking about your double dip calories, right? What you logged, right, for your food as well as your exercise, you should have lost, based upon that logging information, 3.5 to 4 pounds, right? You lost 2.5, right? Your body is designed metabolically, when we've already accounted for those activities, to lose 2.5 to 3 pounds, right? So with you only consuming 800 to 900 calories a day, you should only be able to lose 2.5 to 3 pounds, right? And what's going to happen is, hey, at this rate, with you logging that exercise, you're going to reach your goal weight by X, Y, Z, right? And that's the problem, is they're giving you correct information, but you're double dipping the calories, so it looks like you're going to get there faster, or you should lose more weight. And the frustration gets into play is the scale doesn't show it. You're like, why am I not losing weight like this should be telling me I should, right? And that's the reason why. Okay? So you're right on track. Everything's going okay, so don't log in unless you're actually at the gym.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
That would make, I think it would clear up that kind of a mess.
Yeah, 'cause the gym, the thing doesn't give calories when I do the weights and stuff like that.
There are probably some basic calisthenics you could probably look to use. Or you can do like weight machines.
Yeah, I'm doing the weight machines, but when I try to log it on MyFitnessPal, it won't give calories.
So, and it won't, and here's the reason why, is because it's based upon how much weight you lift.
Mhm.
Right, so if I do, say, 100 pounds on a chest press,
Mhm.
right, you do 50 pounds on a chest press, right, well, I burn more calories because I'm lifting more weight.
Mhm.
Right, and so unless you add in the specific weight that you're lifting and the number of repetitions, and that way you'll know how many calories, and it doesn't do it that way.
Yeah, 'cause I put in their reps and weight and everything, and
Yeah,
it just
it
still
won't.
won't give me nothing.
Yeah, it's very difficult to compute energy expenditure from that. So what I would rather you do, and let's see here, is go strength. Let's see if that's on here.
Yeah, this morning my scale said 267.6.
That's good. It's been a while since you've been out there. It's not in here. Let's do weight. Having an issue with trying to find.
That's the reason why I like
main database.
MyFitnessPal, because they tell you what the calories were on that, but this one won't.
Aerobics, let's do this.
Oh, and I tried to get set up with the bod pod.
Strength training, there.
What training?
Strength training.
Strength training.
Strength training, 270, and so, this is how I do it. This is how I want you to configure the amount of minutes you do on strength training.
Okay.
Alright, let's say you do, how many sets do you normally do?
I'm now doing 17 sets.
Okay, so you're doing 17 sets.
Right.
And let's say, and how many repetitions do you average per set?
About 17. About 15 to 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go 15 times 17. Well, wait a minute. Yeah. So what I typically do is 15 times 2.
Okay.
Alright, 15 times 2 equals 30,
Mm-hmm.
right? 30 seconds times 17.
Okay.
So that's really only, from a standpoint when we look at expenditure, 8.5 minutes.
Okay.
Right? Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Okay. So for you, I have strength training, weight training, 8.5. 31 calories.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why strength training, albeit it's important for muscular strength and endurance, and a little bit of for improvement for metabolic adaptation and so forth, calorically,
Not very much.
not very good.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
So that's why it's important. When people say, well, I go to the gym for an hour and I lift weights, I'm like, do you? But you're not lifting weights consistently and consecutively for 60 minutes. You know, a set takes about 10 to 20 seconds, right? And then you have a 2-minute break.
Oh, my break, I'm walking.
Right. No, but I'm saying in
Yeah.
general. Most people do it and they just sit there. Right? And then they'll do another set and then they sit there.
Uh-huh.
Right? So that's my point, is only log. So if you take on average 15 seconds, so it's 30 seconds per one set.
Mhm.
Right? And then you're doing 2 sets, right? So that's 1 minute per exercise. Then if you're doing 15 of those, 15 exercises, so 15 minutes.
Okay.
For your exercise. So then all of a sudden it goes to about 70. I don't know, 54.
Mhm.
54 calories. And that's based on your current weight.
Mhm.
So that's what you can log, and that's how accurate it would be.
Okay.
Okay? But most patients, and this is very common, I've done enough research on this to show, most patients overestimate energy expenditure and underestimate caloric intake. It is.
It kind of works against the system.
Right, they do. But the best you'll ever be is 80%, 90%
Yeah.
on your caloric intake, right? So, you know, say for example you log 900, it's pretty safe to consume. You know, to say you're probably, for you and what we're doing, that's about 90 to 95% accurate, right? Unless you're eating other things that are not kind of off the like going to Arby's and so forth, right? So then it's about 90% accurate, right? So then if that's the case, 1,000, so it's 900, right? And then if you're exercising, we typically see it's about 20% inaccuracy. So all of a sudden that gap gets big, and then the weight change gets small, and people don't understand
that they're making a mistake on the recording process.
Yeah. So, but I think that's far better. Far better in 1 week than what you've done. So I want to see you back again next Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, because I want to make sure, and then because I want to make sure that there's no sense of complacency for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because I see that as people get, you know, you're down 43 pounds.
Wow. That's a lot.
Right, it is a lot.
Yeah.
And so it's a sense that, hey, I feel better, my knees don't hurt, you know, I'm doing all these extra things. I can, and it's just human nature. Your portions kind of grow, and then you get a little bit more complacent, and all those things really slow weight loss, right? And it's not one thing; it's accumulation of multiple things, right? That kind of you're like, well, what am I doing wrong, right? That's what tends to slow it down. So let's stay rigid again next week. I want to see you back next Wednesday. Okay. Work on increasing your blackberries, blueberries, raspberries. They're in season, so which is kind of good. And then we'll see how you did next week.
Okay.
Any questions for me?
Not that I can think of. I know I made mushroom soup this last weekend, pesto.
Good.
And I found out that half a cup of pesto is about 500 calories. And I about had a heart attack when I figured it out.
I think they use predominantly olive oil.
Yeah, it's olive oil. What was weird is I had like 2 cups worth of stuff, and I put it in the blender, and by the time you get done mixing it all up, it's a half a cup.
Yeah. People say, well, I had pesto pizza. I'm like, well, get the marinara.
Yeah,
pesto
like,
pizza's not really any low calorie.
Yeah, I made a egg salad. I wanted an egg salad the other day, and I had one of the skinny breads left.
Yeah.
And so I gave it I toasted a little bit, and I just put a little bit of pesto on the bread, and then I put my egg salad on it, and it was like, oh, that was good. It does give it a kick, but you know, I don't want to use more than say a teaspoon or half a teaspoon, quarter teaspoon this morning or the other day I used a quarter teaspoon on it.
I'm looking at next Wednesday. All I have are afternoon slots.
Okay.
So I could do it 2:30.
Okay.
Come in after lunch.
Okay. Am I allowed to eat before that'll affect it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it's gonna affect it, but it still shouldn't affect you going down.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you may come in and let's say, for example, you already lost 2.5 pounds, right? Try to switch it up where you can have a meal replacement bar instead of the shake.
Okay.
Right, because it's fluid weight. And I mean, granted, what I don't want you to do is drink, 20 ounces of fluid right before you come in, because that's 1.25 pounds right there of actual gram weight.
Okay.
Right, and especially if you don't empty your bladder, then you're going to retain it. We know it.
And that's probably what happened last time, because I had about a little bit of water, and that might have been enough to.
Right, but let's plan on 2:30. What time do you normally eat?
Well, I usually start. The way my routine is I get up in the morning, take care of stuff until I feel like I need to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
And then.
What was your weight this morning?
It was 267.6.
Okay, so here's what I want you to do. Next Wednesday morning, weigh in again, take a picture of it, and email it if you can. Because that way I can see, right? Because that way we'll take your morning weight, right? If you were 267, then next week you should be around 265. Right. Right? And that's what we're going to try to hope to see on your scale in the morning. Because that way if you come in and you're 269 or 270, then we know you've gained gram weight for the course of the day.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
All right, so let's look at 2:30, and we'll get you going.
Okay.
All right, well done. Much better job this week.
I tried hard.
I know you did.